Okay, this is kind of an aside, I guess. I got a new camera. I dropped my other one on the floor and it went funky on me. But what I'm showing you here is that my magnetic catches work great with just a little tweaking that I had to do here. I mean, I like it. It doesn't take much to open them, but it holds them closed perfectly. So if you can see this playing card over here, I had to shim the hinges on the case side so that it tilted them out just a little bit like this. And I haven't done this one up here. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. It seems to be fine. But that's all it took, was to get that thing to close correctly. I think I am going to do this one now that I look at it. So I'm just going to tear this off of here. And I've got some shim behind the other two hinges as well. But without them, I could not close the doors, and I didn't have that part on video here, but you can see that it's working just beautifully now. So you can hear it, the magnets grab the strike plates. It's perfect. I can't say it any other way. It's just perfect. It works out great for me. So that's going to let me go ahead and stain this and get it all set for finish now that I know everything is going to work just fine for me. So let me put the shim on this top hinge up here once and see if that makes any difference at all, and I'll come back. Yeah, that makes a big difference for this door as well. So the only thing I can surmise here is that when I mounted the hinges to the case side here, the reason that I was getting this interference was this is not perfectly square, so it must tilt it back so that as it closed, this was catching the face frame here just enough to not allow it to come flush. And you can see once it gets there now, boom, she locks up just easily, where before I had to push it closed with my fingers. You remember that spring back effect I had with my thumb? Now you see as soon as it gets close, it locks right down. So that makes me very happy. So one of those things that you have to do sometimes. I mean, I'll probably just use the playing card, and if you get it cut right, it's behind the hinge. You'll never see it. So I can go ahead and finish the project and get moving forward. But boy, I really like the way that looks now. All right, thanks. All right, got the finish work done, and I'm getting ready to locate my handles. Generally, if this were a single panel frame, I would put them down here just above the lower rail. But because I have this mid rail, I've decided to center these about here like this. And what I've done is, basically, I don't want to screw this up. So I've taken the time to make this little jig, and I'm going to drill a couple holes, but they locate the holes precisely centered on the rail, or on the stile, I mean, sorry, and then at the proper distance from the bottom of the rail. So in my case, these are 4-inch centers, and the distance from the bottom of the door to the first hole is going to be 4 7/8, and then add another 4 inches to that to get the top hole, so 8 7/8. and then 1 inch from the edge. So what I'm going to do is place this on here like so, flip it over, and then do the other side. Let me drill these holes. We'll come back and do that. Beautiful. I picked these up at the local craft store here, and they're just a little bit too short to have a solid piece of black in there. They're wide enough but not long enough. So I've decided to keep this little scallop, I guess. I'm gonna put it on the top. So what I need to do is just center it this way, and then I'll figure out my length after I get this cut here, the width cut. So I've got a couple marks on it. I'm going to run it over to the table saw and see how it works out, and then I'll get that other dimension I need. Finished cutting my blackboards. The one on the far end fits perfect. This one is perfect until right here. She's just a little bit tight. So I'm going to hit this with a block plane and shave that a bit, and then I should be good on these two things. That didn't take long at all. 3 passes on this edge, about the last 6 inches or so. I went 2, 4, and then 6. But that's a beautiful fit right there. So the way I'm gonna, lucky for me, I guess, I was considering not finishing this at all because I knew I was putting these in there. But in retrospect, I'm glad I did, because now this little exposed edge up here will look better. What I intend to do with this is fasten it with this 3M Super 77. Spray both sides and then just press it in there. But before I do that, I'm gonna have to tape this off. I don't want this stuff getting all over everything. And I'm also going to use it to fasten the cork on the inside as well here. Now this is just the plywood back, but I did take the time to apply some finish to this, so it sealed it up, so that when I spray it, this doesn't soak right into it and kind of disappear. If you have tags, make sure you remove them, because you don't want that pulling away. You know, if you spray adhesive on this, it'll stick. If you spray it on these, it's not going to. So just a little heads up on that for you. Alright, maybe some of you might be interested in this technique. I over tape it basically about 1/4 of an inch, which is what I've got here. And then I just make a couple of cuts with my knife, my utility knife, and then just run this edge of tape slowly down into that. Then I take my screwdriver here and just making sure I'm tight in the corner. Okay, here we go. So I just ran my knife, you know, at about a 45-degree angle right along that edge, nice and careful, and that's how I'm taking this out of there. I think the next time I won't put the tape down quite so deep, maybe only roll it over about 1/8 or so, but that worked. Tells you to clean it with clean up any overspray with turpentine. So I took my scrap piece that I had here and ran it over real quick to make sure I wasn't gonna really screw things up, and it didn't come off there. So I'm gonna take these spots off real quick and follow it up with a dry towel right away. There. Alright, that looks nice. Okay, you can see all the remnants of my masking off this area here. I put in my cork. It went fairly well. I mean, I had everything pre-cut and fitted, you know, before I did any of the spraying, but A word to the wise, I started here in this corner with this piece. I went to position it, it was a little bit off. I was able to pull it off the tack nice and slow. Went back in to do it again, and I didn't like it again one more time. But as I started to pull it back the second time, it started to tear on me, so I had no choice. It went in and I kind of massaged it over to where I wanted it to be. But just a little word, if you're going to use tiles, why, get that thing where you want it. I should have had it more level and tucked into the corner here, but it turned out fine. Everything's fine. So got everything down and it looks good. I'll stand it up so I can give you a better shot of what this looks like now. And then I want to start to figure out my light strip here. Decided to go natural on the drawers. You can see how these got the little compartment for a couple sets of darts. And then also I'm able to store some chalk in one of them. So that's how that's going to work. And then you can see how the doors turned out here as well. Let me close it up for you. And incidentally, I'm not going to fill that spot. That's going to be covered by the dartboard anyway. Pre-fitting my strip here, and found out the hard way. I should have started further down to find this out, but I made a trim cut here, but when I did that I lose the last light, so I'm going to have to cut. Well, I'm not going to cut that off. If I cut above it, I don't know what's going to happen either. So I'm going to leave that alone for now. What I'm thinking is I think you got to cut it here. Let me get my glasses once you check that out. And that would make sense. You cut it where the little scissor mark is. And I did not pay enough attention to that. So I can go ahead and come back here and cut this off. It wasn't going to fit either way, so I'll trim that back and we'll see how she looks. Well, I got it in there, but I'm a little concerned about the adhesive qualities of that tape that's on there. I mean, it seems to be sticking okay, but even though these things don't give off a lot of light, I mean a lot of heat I should say, not light. I'm concerned that maybe once it warms up it'll start to peel away, but I can always deal with that, I guess. And then you can see that the power supply is tucked in there nicely. I can still push it in some more yet. I'll do that. Yeah, look at that. See, it's coming down already. I'm gonna have to put a different way of adhering that. Alright, I just finished cutting a bunch of strips. Got them installed, and I got the tape, the protective cover removed, and I'm putting this in here. And I can just tell you right now, as I'm going along, this is making a heck of a difference. So kind of a lesson learned the hard way there, but easily fixed and rectified. And the one thing I will tell you is I made sure that when I ran my tape strips, that when I got to a corner that I made sure that that piece wrapped the corner, and then I left this one a little long down there in the bottom. I don't know, hope you can see that. No, you can't down here. This is a little bit long. Incidentally, when I was cutting my strips, I cleaned off a piece of melamine over here, a little scrap piece of melamine, and then I cleaned it off with some denatured alcohol, so I made sure there was no residue on that whatsoever. So I'll just keep going along here and get this thing pieced back in there.